So I'm a big fan of Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea, and the second edition is out after a successful Kickstarter. Here's the cover. This is the foil version you could get from the Kickstarter. And awesome cover here by Charles Lang. He's the artist who did the original box set cover, and he's back to do the front and the back here with the same character facing this wall of madness and horror. That's a thick book. I think we can pretty much agree on that. It's a huge book, about 608 pages, give or take. It is Smith sewn binding with 2 ribbons, and it is a thing of absolute beauty, in my opinion. I love the cover. I love the cover and the color of the book. It's very striking. It's very different for OSR games, and I think it has just an absolutely awesome piece of art there on the front. It really stands out, and again, it shows you Hyperborea. It shows you what the world of Hyperborea looks like with the red cast rays of the bloated red sun, and it shows the permafrost on the ground, some ruins in the background, and it shows this group of adventurers here on the front fighting some sort of lizard creature busting out of the trees here, as you can see. So I also enjoy the fact there's nothing written on the back. It's kind of self-explanatory here on the bottom, a role-playing game of sword, sorcery, and weird fantasy, once again. So, yes, completely compatible with first edition. I'm going to show you a couple of the other editions and the new things that have been added to it. So I'm not going to undo this, but this comes in the book. They've put it inside the book here. This is a fold-out map, much like the way that the first box set had. But this one's color, and I'm not going to undo this one because I'd probably make a fool of myself, but if the iPad will do right, you can see that it's colored, and it's kind of zoomed in there on the main continent of Hyperborea. And very, very good map by Glenn Seal, who did that. And he also contributed as an artist inside the book as well. And I'll be getting to the art and everything about that in a minute. So one of the first things that has been added to this new second edition is 4 new subclasses. Now, 3 of them were already available in a magazine called AFS Magazine, and they are the Huntsman, which is a character class it kind of takes the Ranger and uses kind of like its abilities to tame wild animals and for hunting certain types of animals, obviously Huntsman, as well as destroying werewolves. So kind of a cool, that kind of aspect of the Ranger that we know. The next one is the Cryomancer, which of course is going to be kind of like the Pyromancer, but of course with ice, so that's very neat. And then the Purloiner, which is a Cleric-Thief hybrid, which is very neat, and they more than likely they worship the god Rel. So very neat additions to it, but needed a 4th subclass for the Cleric, and that is the Runegraver. Now, the Runegraver is usually of a Viking ancestry, and they, in essence, cast spells by carving on small pieces of bone or rock or wood, and they cut themselves, the blood, thus activating the spell, and they get to know a certain amount of runes as they go up in level. It's a very neat class, and it's also very much a combat-oriented class, as they have a very good fighting ability. So those are the 4 subclasses, okay? On top of that, there's some new spells, there's some new magic items, and there's some new monsters. There's also a mini setting in the back for the town of Swampgate, and there's also an adventure that goes along with Swampgate. So you have something to get you going, to get you started. There's also a great section that I enjoy that's in there that is about the weather in Hyperborea and how to generate the weather for your adventures. So I think that's great, and of course it goes with the setting very much so. There's also a very small thing where the priests now, for what deity and god they've chosen, they get a special little ability, a bonus. More likely it's a free spell they can cast once per day, but it's just a little bit of a flavor like that to help that priest subclass out. So there are some refinements here and there to the writing, and the layout is completely different. It's chock full of all new art with new artists. Ian Bagley's art from the first edition is still there, and now it's got a whole bunch more art to it. So as you've read, you've probably watched my videos, you know that I like to read books that have a lot of art, as much art as I can get. So I'm very happy, obviously, with this book. But yeah, there are some refinements to it. They before here's an example where a monster may be able to get a bonus to surprise. Jeff Talanian, who wrote it for Northwind Adventures, and he before in first edition it would say where the monster gets a 3 out of 6 chance to surprise. Obviously, one more. In this one, in this edition, it says that they get +1 pretty much to a surprise roll. So just little tiny refinements like that on how stuff is maybe explained or how you can, you know how certain things work a little bit better in the book, such as multiple attacks. It seems like it's a little bit more. How you have you might attack 3 out of you might have a 3 and 2 attack, multiple attacks. It breaks that down a little bit better with tables and stuff. It shows you a little bit more how those work. So that's better explained. So that's helpful. Many of the words are now phonetically written out, so you can know how to say them. So that's helpful, of course. And but really overall, it's exactly the same Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea that you know. It just has a lot more art, those 4 subclasses, and some of those new items, spells, and monsters. So let's take a look at the book. Obviously, it's a huge beast, as I've already shown you. And right off the bat, we get great Peter Mullen in papers here on the beginning and the end of the book. So he's all throughout it with a lot of his art. So here's some of the new artists we have. Of course, we still have Ian. Jonathan Bingham is he takes a huge role in the art that he's added to it, as many of his pieces are full-size pieces, just showing you the different type of classes. So big pieces, and it really stands out a lot in the book, his style, because there's a lot of it, obviously. Charles Lang is who did the front. He's also got some pieces in here as well. Like I've shown you, Peter Mullen, and of course Russ Nicholson, who you may know from the Fiend Folio. His style is very, very well known and very easy to spot. Glenn Seal, who did the mat. Val Zemix, who is a Marvel DC artist, and he's also done some Conan comic books. He has got many pieces in the book, and several of them are color. Especially, they're pretty much the ones that separate the different volumes of the book. They've been colored by, I believe it's Daisy Bingham, who colored those. Jason Schultes, who I've talked about before in one of my videos. He's also added his art to it. Logan Talanian, which if I'm not mistaken, that's Jeff's son. He did some art. And Dale Tigler, also, who I've talked about in some other videos. So all of them have come together to give us a whole bunch more art on top of Ian's. And I'm going to show you right off the bat here. Here's the first master table of contents here. And you can see there's a Val Semix piece of art right there that's been colored. And he has that comic book style of art, which is definitely obviously different than Ian Bagley's style. And that goes on to, you can see here, this is going to be your stats right here, how they're written out a little bit different. There's a lot of spot art now in the book, which is fantastic. Just kind of gives it a lot more oomph to the art direction that it has. But you're still gonna get Ian's art for a lot of the characters, the different character classes. But on top of that, you're going to get now Jonathan Bingham's take on those classes, and his style is definitely much different. It has a very strong OSR feel to it. He has kind of big brush marks. I'm not exactly sure how he does his art, but it's definitely stand out and to other OSR artists. And he has a lot of pieces in here, like I said. So it's you see there, that's his picture for the fighter. And here is a great picture that he's done for the magician. Really like this one a lot. And you can see, it's going to be right here. But you can see there's still Ian's piece right there. So they kind of go hand in hand now. And you have 2 pages like this, a bunch of big full-page art, which is just fantastic. And obviously the Kickstarter did so well that there was a lot more art was able to be placed into it. So almost every page, until you get kind of to the spell section, there might not be any art there, but almost every page now has some art. And I love the Paladin here. This is a great piece showing her and the throngs of these undead here. So one thing that's really great about the art is the fact that since there's so much more of it, and it was kind of like what I said in my first video, was the fact that I wanted to see more Hyperborea. And much like the cover, I'm getting to see much more Hyperborea, and these artists' vision of what Hyperborea is, as well as, of course, Jeff Talanian's vision of what Hyperborea is. So yeah, not much has changed. It's just been kind of enhanced a little bit here. Here's a Val. Here's one of Val's great pieces. If I can hold this correctly, you can see it right here. Just fantastic, his art style. And now that, since it doesn't have one artist and it has multiple artists, there could be some pieces that you like, some that you don't like. And that's just how it's going to be when you get a bunch of people together to do different types of that have different type of styles. So that could be for a hurdle for some people. It may not be for others. And here you can see Russ Nicholson has taken on some more demon art, and his style is obviously, to many people from old D&D, his style is easily spotted. So great to see him. He also has some big full page pieces. And look at the succubus here from Val. That is awesome. Just awesome piece right there. So love the art. I love being able to see more of Hyperborea. My hopes are, more products come out showing us more about what Hyperborea is. It's not left up so much to us to create kind of our own, and that's what I hope for down the road for Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea. Now, this is one of Val's pieces that I really, really enjoy because again, it gives me exactly what I want, which is the vision of Hyperborea with the red bloated sun and the Boreas and the stars, the permafrost. These group of adventurers here traveling, over this mountain ridge. Just awesome. Really, really enjoy that. Plus, these characters here are part of a rogues gallery. It's a group of adventurers, and what they've done is they've given us all these characters' stats when they're low, mid, and high level, so you can use them as PCs or NPCs, and I think that's pretty neat. And there's also another group for these group of adventurers here that you see, so you kind of get two groups, and you can kind of learn their backgrounds and personalities, and I think that's awesome. Something again that you can use, in your games. So. Going through it, you're going to find a lot of new pieces of art, but you're not going to find anything that's going to really change up. And you should be able to use your first edition books on the table very easily. If somebody's not playing maybe one of the new subclasses, those first edition box sets still going to be awesome to use. And that comes to, one of the other issues of a book like this. This is a big book. This is a large book. It's 608 pages. And I like big old books like this, especially for a game that I love, and so much attention has been done to it. But this is unwieldy. Obviously, it's heavy to put into a book bag. The situation goes on and on. It's just big and kind of massive, as you can see, and that might not be for everybody. They might like their books split up, of course. So now we go back to the first edition. So we've got the best of both worlds now. We've got one big volume, and we've got still there's the first edition if you still have that. And I'm not certain if that's available still anymore in any way, but you can see here's a Peter Mullen full page right there. So obviously he's well known in the OSR. And if I can, I'm going to show you another great thing is that there's Val has a 2-page spread right here at the back, which is just dynamite. So, you're getting stuff that I believe is unique to an OSR product, this type of product production value, these artists. And I've never seen Val's work before, but I'm absolutely a huge fan now. And I originally said, that looks like a comic book. And sure enough, it is. And when I first saw it, I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, that's different. And that's okay. I kind of came to grips with it, and I said, well, that's kind of neat, so I don't mind that at all. So, yeah, at the back, you've got your adventure, and you got that setting. And 608 pages. I would have liked to have seen an index in the back, but I understand that it would be a massive, massive section. But each of the volumes does have their own table of contents, which are very, very good. And of course, the PDF is available now as well. Now, the thing is, this is no print-on-demand book. This is no drive-through RPG Now book. with the printing, with the quality of the printing here, and the binding and the ribbons. And from what I'm aware of, it's not going to be available for print on demand. You can still, I believe, pre-order it for after once the Kickstarter people have gotten their books. So I would tell you to do that if you want to get this edition. My personal thought is I believe it might hopefully become a print on demand book in some form. You won't be able to get the map that comes with it, and you're going to miss some of these extra little things like this. Now, the normal version, the words here are not foil, and they're kind of like a permafrost kind of light blue, which is actually quite striking as well. But that's it. I can't go through all the pieces of art. I can't go through all that's new because there's just so many. But if you're a fan of Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea, you're probably already eyeballing this edition. Hopefully you joined on to the Kickstarter and you've got yours already. You're going to get it soon. But here, I believe this is a Charles Lang. I'm starting to learn their different types. So he's got full pages now, in there. And, there's a bunch of full pages, which is of course, very enjoyable. Use your 2 ribbons through this beast to mark your places. And again, I've given so much praise to the book, the rule set. That's the priest. That's not what I was telling you about the different the deities and the different abilities you get for what deity you choose. You've chosen for your god. So I've said a bunch how much I enjoy this game. It's very, very well edited. David Prada did the editing again on this. I have not spotted any problem whatsoever of a typo or something wrong. Of course, it is a book, and role-playing books, stuff gremlins get in there. But of course, they're taken from the first edition that they've already meticulously looked at, and people have already looked at that as well. And so it's just really well written. The way that he writes is obviously very unique in the OSR. And in my opinion, this is one of the most refined, almost, in my opinion, it's just a fantastic rule set for OSR. And hopefully you'll pick up the second edition. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. But this is the beast right here, and I think just if you like art and you like the OSR, I think it's going to be a great addition to your library. So thanks for watching.